Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Looks like we had 15 people sign up and we have 16 people in here. That is awesome. That's perfect. Good morning. My name is Chris Goodson. I'm one of the instructional technology facilitators. If you don't know me, I see some people in here I know and some new names, so yay. Joining me today to help me run the chat is Heather Matisse. She doesn't show up as Heather. She shows up as the ITF's a GCS, but that's Heather. She's going to be working the chat, which basically means if you have a question, over to the chat and type in there and she'll be able to help you out or make sure that I address the question. Since we've got a relatively small group, I also don't mind if you unmute yourself and ask a question out loud if you need to. If you've not used Meet too much before yet, you can find the chat up there at the top right. There's the several white buttons beside the time. You have the one that is a little text bubble. That is chat. That will open up the chat on your right. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just a second here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here it comes. Okay, so this session is interactive. We tell people you can use devices if you would like. Sometimes that helps people because they can put the Google Meet on one device and then have like their Chromebook open to actually follow through with the slides or to even try some of this stuff out in Canvas. If you only have one device, that's perfectly okay because you can always switch to a different tab and still be able to hear me talking in the background. We do have a bit.ly there on the screen for our slideshow. And this slideshow is a big slideshow that has all the Canvas topics that we've been covering in these face-to-face meetings, not just the ones for today's. So if you look through it, there will be a moving to Canvas slide, and then there's this table of contents, and you can actually click to go to the different sections. This particular section is talking about assignments in Canvas. So that's the one we're going to talk about today. So unless anybody has any questions before we get started, we will go ahead and get going. There is a lot of material. I'm going to cover it at a speed, hopefully, that won't lose you. If you do get lost, it's okay to say, hey, can you show me that again? Also, the slideshow will contain these little videos that are little silent videos that will walk you through doing particular things that I show you. So you'll be able to refer back to that and you get stuck. And as always, if you have any questions with any of this, or you're having trouble, feel free to get in touch with your tech facilitator. If you don't know who that is, let us know. We'll find out for you. And your tech facilitator can help you out face-to-face, online, or via email to help you make sure you understand how to use all these things. So to get started, I would like you all to use the chat function. And I want you to just describe your favorite activity or assignment that you give your students. This is not necessarily one that's on computer. This is just any activity or assignment that you do with your students. And to give us a little bit of context, go ahead and put your grade level and subject area in your chat. Okay, so everybody go over and open the chat and then type in your favorite assignment or activity. Okay, getting a few in there. Good, get a lot of neat ones. Now, I'm noticing a trend, and this is good because this is what I hope to see. This is what I expect to see. Notice that nobody put worksheets Okay, there's a reason for that. And y'all know, not only is it not as engaging and interesting for the students and for you, but that's not the best way for students to learn. I'm a firm believer that students learn best through very good, well thought out, rigorous assignments. And the things you described there, like making kites to go along with the Kite Runner novel, and you know, even down to something like a warm up where they look at an image and describe what's going on in detail. Hands-on equations, balancing equations with mobiles. I think I saw that one. So with mobile diagrams, yeah, these are things that provoke some thought. And what I want to tell you today is that you can use Canvas assignments for all of these things, even things that don't seem would, like making green screen video. You can use Canvas to organize your students' work on bigger, more hands-on, and more complex assignments like this. Hopefully, I'll be able to show you a few ways to do that today during this. Okay. Also, looking through, looks like we got a pretty good mix of high school and middle. It looks like almost right down the line. So, let's talk a little bit about creating an assignment in Canvas. Now, instead of going through the video here, I'm going to skip out of this for a second, and I'm going to go into my Canvas and walk you through it from there. The first thing I want to show you, when you go into Canvas, it puts you in this dashboard. You don't have to check it right now, but I want everybody to check this when they get a chance. Because if you're on this dashboard page and you go down to the bottom on the right, scroll down, I have a lot of the grade. But if you go down here on the bottom, there should be a Start a New Course button. Okay, you see it here on mine. You should see a Start a New Course button in yours as well. The reason you want that is you want to go ahead, if you haven't done this already, and click on that and create a Sandbox course. You can either call it, you know, your name, Sandbox, or something like that. The reason is this will be your place to test things out. This will be a place where you can mess around and try new stuff in Canvas without messing anybody up or without screwing up your real class. So I keep a Sandbox, and I encourage everybody else to make one. In fact, if you make one right now, you can test out this stuff in it. But there are some people who aren't seeing the Start a New Course button, and your ITF can fix that very easily. They just need to know about it. So if on this dashboard page you don't have a Start a New Course button, please contact your ITF as soon as possible, and we'll make sure that we get you set up correctly so that you can have a Sandbox class like mine. Okay, so I'm going to click into my Sandbox. And you'll notice I'm on the home view, which is also similar to the module view. Modules in Canvas, we're not going to talk about them in detail, but modules are basically your units. Some people organize it by week. Some people organize it by unit topic. But that's sort of your basic organizational structure, because within these modules, you can put assignments. You can put pages with just information. You can put discussions. You can put all those things and organize them. Okay, and then the students see it typically in this view. So to create a new assignment in a module, I find that the easiest way is to do it from this page. There is an assignments page. It looks like this, and it shows all of your assignments, okay? And it categorizes them by the categories you've created. But I don't like, and you can start an assignment from here, but I usually don't do that. I usually start it from this page, because if I'm thinking in terms of units, I want to start things in terms of units. So from here, how do I create a new assignment within this module? Well, you pick the module you want and you click the plus button there within the module. So if I click the plus button here in the Revolutionary Warrior module, it will create a new assignment here. If I click it here in the Beowulf unit, it's going to create it in the Beowulf unit. Now, when you click the button right away, you see that it lists a bunch of existing assignments. And so what that means is, hey, do you want to just copy one of these and add it to your module? There's a reason for that. As you're going to see as we go through this in a minute, you can create sort of a template assignment, okay? And then every time you start an assignment, just click on that one. That way, a lot of the things are filled in and you won't have to redo them every time. So it's a big time saver. So you can either pick one of these that are pre-existing, or you can click on New Assignment, give it a new name, and start it. So I'm going to call this one Example Assignment. All right. I'm going to hit add item. And you'll notice example assignment is right here. Now in the chat, I want you to answer this question. What's different? What looks different about this example assignment from the other assignments you see on my homepage right now? Juana says no green check. That is correct. And you notice there's no green bar out beside it either. So, and Gabriel's absolutely right there. Kansas too. That means this has not been published. If it's not published, your students cannot see it. Okay, so that's important. It doesn't matter what due date you put in there. If you've not published it, they don't see it. And the way you can publish something is to check the box right there. Now, right now, I don't want this one published because it's blank. So until I'm ready to send it out to the kids, I'm not going to check that box. It's going to be one of those things you just need to get used to looking for and get used to doing, is to remember the final step is to publish. So how do I give it some content? I have to click on the assignment. When you do that, it shows it as the students would see it. Well, right now, they're not going to see anything because it's blank. So I have to edit it by clicking on the edit button. So now we're in the place where we make this assignment. Now, first things first, you've got the ability to rename the assignment right here. So I can adjust that as need be. And then next, you've got this big text box with these controls in it. This is where the rubber hits the road, y'all. This is where you tell the kids what to do. And from doing a little research and from talking to students whose teachers have used Google Classroom, I've found that the best thing you can do here is to be very clear and very detailed while trying not to go too long. Okay. What I mean by very detailed is you need to tell them exactly what to expect. And one of the best ways to do that is to get a consistent format for how you do your assignments. Now, I'm not going to tell you how that is because that's going to be up to you depending on your individual taste and your individual subject area and grade level. But I would make something I would make a plan. Quick question. We are going to get to Google. Yes. So here's what I do. I'm going to take this sample text here. Okay. So this is maybe how I would lay this out. Now you notice this is a Google Doc, right? So I'm copying and pasting. And you can do that from anywhere. So you don't have to type it straight up in here. If you've already got this set up as an assignment somewhere else, like in Google Classroom, you can open that up and copy and paste. Okay. Once it's in here, I suggest you come up with a standard formatting. Okay. So for example, for mine, I might say paragraph. It's got different paragraph styles. And I might make this one, it's being a little tricky there, isn't it? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to make that one heading 2, big. And then each subheading afterwards, I'm going to make it heading 4, bold. So I've got a couple subheadings in here. So I'm just going to go through and make each one heading 4, bold. So now I have my categories. You may do this differently. You may not have the standards in there. We probably should all have I can statement in there though, right? Okay. Background is where I'll, tell them, here's what we've been studying. Here's this. Now what you're going to do is this assignment. And then at the bottom, I would definitely have something like this. You don't have to call it what you turn in, but something along those lines, and tell them exactly what to turn in and how. Okay. Right down to the, press the red button at the top right. If they're used to seeing that, they're going to know where to go to look, and you're going to have less confusion when they turn it in. Think of this as your Harry Wong stuff, right? Set your procedures up early. Set your procedure for how you give them assignments up early as well. Okay. Questions on the basic text editing here. You can change the font, the font point size, and you can change bold italic. You can change the color of it. If you're a very visual person, you may even want to go and say, what to turn in is always going to be red. Okay, so they know where to look for it, or blue or something like that. This is what I meant by if you have like a template assignment that you always copy off of it, it might be easier. Okay. All right. So everybody understand that part pretty well? Okay. Questions. This is where you put the directions, but where do we put questions they might answer? Where do we put the questions they might answer? So in other words, like if you have like 5 questions about this particular story, yeah, that goes in here as well. Okay, so that might be you might have a section for questions to answer. Okay, this is everything. There's nowhere else to type in what they want to do, what you want them to do. So this is where you tell them exactly it. Now,
and to piggyback off of that, so like McAllister, what you can do is you can include the questions written here, that like in the directions you can say, make sure you answer these 5 questions, and you can write out those questions. You can type it in, you can copy and paste it, but if it's something you already have like in a Google Doc or something, you could copy and paste those over to make it quicker. You could link in that Google Doc, or if you want the kids to type on that Google Doc, we're going to get to that in a bit on how to give them a copy that they write on. So it depends on, I guess, how you would want them to be turning it in. If you want them to turn it in a Google Doc, then we'll go over how to do that. But if you're just wanting to have them type it in Canvas, then you could copy and paste over or link the question.
Yes, there's a whole selection of types, submission types that they can turn in, and I'll show you as soon as we get done with this box. Absolutely. Okay, so once you've got the text typed in, there are a few other things you can add. So if you look at this section up here, I'm going to zoom in on it so you can see it. You've got a couple really useful buttons here. The first one is this link button. That allows you to hyperlink in links to other places on the web. So for example, I'm going to pull up the National Geographic page. And let's see, elephant chest. Oh, hurricanes. Okay, so you're doing a weather unit and you're doing hurricanes, and you want to link them to this article. All I have to do is go up here, right click, copy the link. Okay, and then I go back into my assignment and I hit this link button. And of course, this is an external link because it's not going to something inside Canvas. And I'm going to say hurricane article. That's what it's going to look like to them. I'm also going to put the word hyperlink because I'll tell you why in a second. And then I'm just going to right click and paste that link in there. And now they will see this hyperlink. Now, why did I put the word hyperlink? Anybody know? I could have just put hurricane article, click here or something like that. But why did I put the word hyperlink? This is something you should definitely do anytime you put a link in. Any ideas? Has anybody ever had a student who's visually impaired and uses a screen reader? Yeah, Emily's right. So if someone's visually impaired is looking at this page, they're using a screen reader. It reads all the words, and usually it reads them fast so that that they can get through an article. And if it just reads hurricane article, they don't know what that is. But if it says hurricane article hyperlink, they know to tell their computer to click right there so that they will go to that article. So yeah, absolutely. So that's so they know, everybody knows, even people who are using some kind of accessibility functions will know that it's a link. Absolutely. So you can do a link. You can also insert a picture. That's what the next button is up here. So when you do that, it says it goes to upload image, and it takes you to this screen. You can just, if you have enough room on the desktop, like if I have a picture right here, I can drag it and drop it right on top of that rocket ship, and it would upload. If not, I can click on it, and you will see whatever loading screen you have on your device. So like I have a Mac, so it looks like this. A PC would look different. A Chromebook would show you your Google Drive right here. And so you basically just, let's see, I'll find a picture for us real quick. Pictures. Get bored of putting myself in here. Oh, wait, here we go. Well, I'll do this one. I did this one yesterday. Okay, so there's me and my daughter up in the mountains. So I'm going to hit submit. And there's the picture. Now, is this picture too big? Yes, it's way too big. So what am I going to do? I'm going to click on it, grab one of the corners. Okay, so everybody see these squares in the corner right here? and click and drag until it shrinks this down to the size I want it. You notice it puts it in line there, right? So it's on the same line as I can. So if I put a return right there, it will move it down for me. Okay? So that's inserting a picture. Everybody good with that? We can also insert media. Okay, this is really cool. Watch this. So in other words, if you have a video, you could say user media and you could upload the video. But this also allows you to upload record media. So again, I'm sorry, if I have one, I could drag it right here. So if I had a MP, like right here's a video. If I drag that right there, it's going to take that video and let me upload. So that's one way to do that. But I could also do it this way. Okay, so I just hit record. And so now I can do this. Hey, Mr. Goodson, today we're going to talk about fractions. That's probably a bad idea because I don't know anything about fractions, but let's talk about them anyway. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I finished that video. I call it fractions. I hit save. And it's going to take it a second, but it's getting there. In a second, that video is going to be embedded right there in this article. How cool is that? Is that cool? Anybody think that's cool? Somebody said it was cool yesterday. That's okay. I think, yeah. I mean, I think that's helpful because you don't. Okay, yeah. Quan says, "Oh, how'd you do that?" Good. That means people are interested. I'm going to show you one more time. Now, it's still processing that one, so we'll let that one go. So I put my cursor where I want the video. All right? Everybody see that? I go up here to this button. Record, upload media. Okay? I click upload, record media. And then I go to record. Okay, and I think that last one failed because I told it to upload something from computer and record. But anyway, so here we get this. We hit start recording. Hello, hello, hello. We record our video. We hit finish. Hit save. And it's going to put it right here. I think I messed something up with this one. Yep, this one goes in. Okay, and so now for the kids, it will play right here. Hello, hello, hello. We record our video. We hit. All right. When you click on it, yeah, video options. You can put a title here to describe it. You can even change the size of it. It changed. It didn't change. Huh. Should have changed. Yeah, there we go. Changes the size. So that's how you can put a little video in.
And the question is, can you record only your voice and not the image?
That's a good question. Let me see something real quick.
Yeah, I think
yeah, you can do it right there. So did everybody see that? So in this window, instead of webcam, do no video, and now you can do a voice recording. Okay.
The other question is, so now you made this video. How do I get this video into my other courses or content or places?
Yeah. So let me show you that. You know where I forgot to name this one. So when I was here and I recorded it, when it was done, it brought up a little box here to let me name it. So what I would do is I would be very careful to name that correctly every time. So let's do another one. This video is all about frogs. Okay, so I'm going to name this frogs, and I'll maybe even put today's date. All right, and save it. So now it's going to insert the frog video right here. Okay, but somebody says, how do I get that from other classes? Here's how. Oops, hold on. I got to save this whole thing. Okay, so there's the frogs video. It's in there. Okay, for right now, I'm going to pop out of this. I'm going to go to one of my other classes. Let's go down to this one. I have another Sandbox. Don't ask. Okay, so I'm going to make another assignment. So I'm in this completely other class. I hit assignment, type assignment, yeah, save, oops. Call it frogs. I'm doing this a slow way, hang on a second. Okay, module amphibians. Add assignment. Frogs. Okay, so now I'm in a completely different place, completely different assignment, and I want to add that video in. Same button, right? Except, I believe it's here, right, Heather? User. Gonna work? Yep. Yep. When I go to user media, there's frogs because I recorded it for another class, but it's still available there. That was a very good question, by the way, whoever said that.
Yeah, and just remember, anytime you see those two words, you'll see them. There's always three different ways. External, which means outside of Canvas. Content media or course media is in that you're pulling stuff from that same course. Yeah. But user media is all of your media from all of your courses that you have in Canvas.
The same goes for, remember I uploaded that picture a minute ago? Now, it doesn't do that with the pictures, does it?
Yeah, you should do the drop down at the top. And then you can do course and you can do user.
That's user, and it's not showing them. This is stuff for one of my other classes.
I guess it's just images.
Maybe just so.
Since you selected images.
Anyway, good to know. Well, you know what? No, never mind. This is the upload media, not the upload photo button. So I'll bet if I do user media, well, that's the video again too. There's a lot of videos of me in this room. Apparently. Okay, well, that's something I'll dig into on my own. But
and then to go along with that, then the other question is, so you can also just use the entire assignment for multiple classes. McAllister was asking about that as well.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
It's kind of the same spot you can pull. There's also, so you can answer this question a lot of different ways. There's also a way for you to copy, like when you're in your modules, you can copy an assignment to another location. You can also share things to the Commons, and when you share things to the Commons, you can make it available for all of GCS, like your PLC could put stuff out there, but you can also set it to private in the Commons, so then you just go into the Commons and pull your stuff. I find it easier to use the Commons. There's also then a copy tool that then lets you copy whole modules and like huge chunks of stuff, and like that's hairy, scary, 10 million buttons to it. So there's a lot of ways to copy. The answers are in the FAQ doc, but we can also help you as your ITF.
Yes. Okay, so in the interest of time, let me finish up this box. So one more thing I wanted to show you can add to this box is this last button right here. That is the upload document button. That essentially lets you pick any kind of document that you have from a PDF. Usually we're going to be talking PDFs or docs, but let me just say grab. Let's just find a PDF. So I'm just going to look for a PDF. Yeah, here's some long, boring EdTech report. Okay, so I can do that and hit submit, and it will insert that as a link. So where did it put it? Where did I have my cursor? Right there. Let me try that again when I know where my cursor is, y'all. Sorry. I'm trying to move too fast. Okay. So, oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. So it puts it in as a link like that. So now what happens is when the students see that, they click on it and it will go to that. It will open that document up for them. Okay. So you can add existing documents you have. All right. So that's pretty much everything in the box. Let me go down to the stuff under the box, which is super important. Okay. First of all, you have points. This is total points the assignment is worth. Okay. The next box is assignment group. Okay. And I know I have rescue rangers there. Ignore that. And I know I don't have everything else in, but this is where our assignments versus quizzes versus tests, all that comes in, right? So click it on the assignment group and it will put it in the proper group for you. Now, this is a time where we got to step back and say, look, we don't know. We're still working on it. This is new to us in a lot of ways, like it's new to you. One of the things that we're still working on with accountability and academics is making sure we get the gradebook stuff set up right. Okay. Canvas has the functionality to be able to take the grades you put in here and put them directly in PowerSchool. But we want to make sure we do that correctly so that the grades go in the PowerSchool right. So, you know, you have percentages for quizzes, tests, homework, classwork. Okay. So we're still hammering out the rules to make sure we do that right. I just want to show you this is where that's going to go. This is where you tell whether this particular assignment is a test or a homework assignment or a quiz. Okay. But details for that will be coming to you through your school. All right. Display grade as. You don't have to do points. You can do a percentage, or you can even do complete, incomplete. You just mark it done or not done. Okay. Now we get to, and you know what, for just a second, I'm going to do this a little differently today. I'm going to skip this one for a second. All right. I'm going to skip this one for a second and move on and cover this bottom part. So who gets this assignment? You can make it so that assignments go to particular people. Okay. Right now it's set to everyone. But if I go over here and start typing Heather's name, because Heather's a student in this class, now, and then I get rid of everyone else, now only Heather gets this assignment. So what's this good for? What can you use this for? Somebody tell me in the chat. Okay. Yeah, you might use this for your 2 cohorts. Okay. You might use it for remediation, for group assignments, individualized lessons, differentiation. Yeah. All these kind of things. If you allow somebody to redo an assignment, absolutely. You can really get, yeah, extension assignments. Absolutely. So yeah, you can really use this to kind of differentiate because they don't know that somebody else got a different version of it than they did. Okay. And you can add multiple people. So I could say, you know, this is Kyle, Heather, Lauren, and Christy. Okay. And then it does have the everyone else too. So, I mean, that's, you know, that's in there as well. So you can definitely fine tune these assignments to whoever you want to get it. Okay. You can also, if you have sections, somebody mentioned with our A and B cohort, you can make a section of A and a section of B and then assign it to just that section. So that way you don't have to put individual kids in. Due date is here. It is optional, but if you wanted to copy over into, to be able to copy over into Gradebook eventually, you do need to make sure you give it a due date. It will not let you sync it with PowerSchool if you don't have a due date. This is the box you check to make it sync with PowerSchool. Okay. Available from and until lets you basically set up a window of time in which they can turn it in. Now, that doesn't mean it's not the same as publishing it. That just means that if you put stuff in there, they can only turn it in within that window. So you could say, you know, it's due tomorrow, but I'll take it late until, you know, Monday. All right. But after Monday, they can't even turn it in. So use that as you want to. Questions on the assign box? Adam, I think it does mark it as late. Okay, Candace asks, can you explain how I break my list into A and B? So you will need to make a section for that, right? A course section. And that, I don't want to get too deep into that. You can work with that with your idea, but I'll show you real quick where you find that.
Yeah, you can use sections, or you can also use groups.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There is a really funky difference between the two, and in the FAQ doc, there's an article that compares the two. It's hairy.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'll show you where you groups you make here in the people page. Sections is that settings, is it not, Heather?
Yep, it's in settings.
Yeah. Here's the thing, Candace, I would kind of chill on that right now. Give us another week or so to hammer out which works best. We're still tinkering with that. That kind of gets into how it interacts with the gradebook, how it interacts with PowerSchool. We want to make sure we give you the right advice on whether to do it as groups or whether to do it as sections. But just know that you can do it. We just want to make sure that we figure out what the best way is and play with it a little bit before we suggest it to you. Does that make sense? And once we do, we'll definitely get the instructions out there to you. Yeah, no, it's a very good question. That was one of the first things that came to my mind too, is okay, how are we going to do AABB?
One of our $1 million questions we got going on.
Yep. Okay, let me get back to that assignment. Okay, so we've talked about you know, the when it's due and the who it's going to. I want to talk about the what now. So I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to go back up here to this submission type, because this is the big one. This, if everything else determines what we're telling the kids, this is what the kids give us. Okay, how are they going to turn this in? So I want to run over the basic types you see right here. The first one I want to talk about is this one, on paper. That means they're going to turn a physical product into you. They are not going to turn it in online. And that is perfectly possible with this. Now, what some people may be asking is, why would I even put it in Canvas then? Here's my argument, y'all. And I'm even going to stop sharing my screen for a second so you can see my face, so you can believe me. Y'all, listen. Put everything in Canvas. If you have an assignment for your kids, put it in Canvas. If that assignment is stand up and sing a song for me in class, which we shouldn't do because that spreads virus everywhere, no, don't do it. But if that was the assignment, put it in Canvas. I think this year it's a wise thing to do because the kids are not always there. We don't know what's going to happen. There could be a spike and suddenly we're all remote. Everything goes in Canvas. Now, I'll also make the argument that even if this was a perfectly normal school year, I would be telling you put everything in Canvas. Here's why. I used to tell people put everything in Google Classroom. Talking to the kids, this is what they've told me. The kids whose teachers use Google Classroom, almost universally, when I would ask them, what would you like your teacher to do differently? They said, I wish my teacher would put everything into whatever the LMS, that time is Classroom. They say, because that's how I track to make sure I'm getting everything done. All right. They were relying on Classroom as a way to make sure they were doing their work. And that doesn't change this year. In fact, it becomes more important because they're going to see you less. It becomes more important for them to be able to track and see what's due when. It gives them peace of mind. Okay. For you, it helps you keep all this craziness straight, right? Because look, this is going to be y'all know, this year's going to be a logistical nightmare until you get used to it. And being able to just look in your Canvas and see every assignment laid out in a line by unit is going to help you tremendously. So that means if they're handing in it on paper, mark on paper. That way you can still put the grade in. That way the grade gets to them quickly. And that way you can keep track of it and they can keep track of it. Okay, so that's what on paper is for. You also have no submission. It's just an assignment that they do but don't turn in. You have online. Okay, that's a big one. Let's look at that one, because when you click online, you get a couple options. The first option is text entry. And I know somebody was asking about this earlier. Text entry means they will get one of these boxes. Okay, and they can type words. They can format the words. They can put pictures and video in. They can do all these things we can do. Okay, they just do it in this box. And then they hit submit and you get it and you can read it. And I'll show you how you read it in a minute. So text entry, super, super useful. website URL. That means if they've done something like, I know some of you probably used Adobe Spark last year. It let them make videos and posters, and then they got a URL when they were done. Okay, well, they can take that URL, put it in the box, and then turn it into you. Okay, so that you can go to that link. Media recordings, same thing. That's if they've recorded a video or audio file, they can upload it. And then file uploads is any kind of file, like a Word document or PDF. Now you'll notice you're able to check one or multiple of these. So if I did text entry and file uploads, they could either write it in the box or they could write it on their word processor and send the file to you. Okay? So any of these ways will work. Okay? Finally, external tool. And this is the question everybody's been waiting on, which is the Google integration part. This allows you to attach documents via any number of external tools. Now, we're going to weed this down and add some new ones. Some of these are things you will probably never use, so we're going to try and move them away. But there are 2 Google options. Now, look, y'all, I'm going to be honest. I would love to just narrow it down to one and say that one's perfect and works just like Classroom. It doesn't. Google is not Canvas. They're not connected. So it's not going to interface exactly the same way Classroom did. There are pros and cons to both of these. There is in our slideshow here, there's a chart. Here it is. That will tell you the pros and cons and what each of these do. The 2 of them are Google Drive Cloud Assignments and Google Assignments. Okay. And this that is essentially a whole other training to itself. And Heather is working on a unit that goes in that Moodle, listen to me, in that Canvas class that you took about Canvas. Heather's been working on that, and it will be done soon.
Yeah, it will be live. It'll be live by Monday at the latest. Hopefully we'll get it out before the weekend. But at the latest Monday, you'll see a Google and Canvas module added to your Intro to Canvas course. Now,
I am going to quickly show you how this works, okay? Mindful of our time. If you do a Google Assignments, okay, the first thing it does is it goes to this box, okay? And I'll tell you which account I'm using. And then you'll see it opens up a new window. Now, in this window, I get the opportunity to attach a file from my Google Drive. This looks pretty familiar if you've done Google Classroom, right? So if I have a guided notes page that I want them to each get a copy of, that's where I put it. So do you remember the part in Google Classroom where you clicked, every student gets a copy? That's this. Okay. I hit create.
I missed how you got to that page.
Yep, I'll show you. I'm going to go back and show you in a second. It was from here, right? And I clicked Google Assignments and select. Okay, and that was from external tool. Now, you notice it took me back here. So I still have to hit select. So now it's set up external tool, Google Assignments. Okay. And then when I hit save, for me, the teacher, here's all my instructions. And then down below that, I will get this in a second when it decides to pop up. There we go. I will get this. Okay. It says example assignment, tells me the points. And it says no student submissions yet. Okay. Here's what it will look like. Now, here's what it looks like for the student. Okay, so I am now switching to this class. And in this class, I'm a student. Does that make sense to everybody? So Heather made this class. I'm a student. I'm going to show you what a Google assignment looks like for the student. So as the student, I go in and I see this. Now, I'm done, so it's showing me you're all set. But it would say do so-and-so. But I see this. I see open assignment. And when I click it, kaboom. This opens up in a new page. I can click the doc right here. and I have my copy of the document. I fill it out. Okay, it's not letting me do that right now because I actually turned this in before, but I fill it out. Now, this is where it's not quite as cool as Google Classroom was, because in Google Classroom, remember, we had a button up here, right? What was it? Anybody remember for the kids? What button did the kids see? Yep, they saw turn in. We don't have that. Instead, they have to leave this page and go back to here, okay, to Canvas, and there'll be a submit button. Everybody got that? Now, as a teacher, once they submit it, it looks like this for me. There's Heather. She's turned it in. I click on it. And if you're familiar with grading stuff in Classroom, it looks like this. It looks just like that, in fact. And I see what Heather's done. And I say, ooh, good job, Heather. I click on things. I make comments. Cool map, even though it's France. Yeah, I can make all these comments. And then I can go over here and I can put a grade in and I can return it. Just like you did in Classroom. Okay? That's one. I know I flew through that, but as we said, there's going to be examples of these. Now, let me show you what the other one looks like. Okay, so this is the wrong one. Let me go to my home. Let me go to this one, example assignments. Now, let's say instead of that external tool, okay, and so somebody asked how you do it. Remember, this is it. You go to external tool, and then you pick the one you want. So now that was Google Assignments. Let me show you the other one, Google Drive Cloud Assignment. Now you'll notice this doesn't open up in another window. This is still within a box within Canvas. Okay, and it gives me a more simplified list of stuff that's in my Google Drive. I can still search it, but it's not quite as good of a search as a Google search. So I'm going to see guided notes. And I've got a lot of files called guided notes, so I have to find the right one. Okay. Once I found it, I hit submit, and it goes back to here. Okay, that's okay. I just hit select to finish it. So now what does that look like for a kid? So for a student there, that looks very different. So I'm going to go back, and now this is me, the student, again. Now in that case, I get an embedded document as a student. In other words, it doesn't open up in another page. Instead, it has a smaller window here in Canvas. Okay, so this is a whole Google Doc kind of stuck inside Canvas. Now, in some ways, is that good? Yes, because they don't ever have to leave this page. Can anybody think of what the negative to that is, though? Because I'm sitting here looking at this on a gigantic, you know, like 15, 16-inch, 20-inch monitor or something. Okay, but imagine this on a Chromebook. So it's a window with a bar and then a smaller window and then a tiny window within that. Okay, so that's going to be cramped. That would bug me if I was a kid, but that's just me. Might not bug the kids. The plus to this, though, is right here. When I'm done, I hit submit and it's turned in. And it's right here on the page. I didn't have to go back to another window or anything.
And now students can open this in a new tab and expand it so it's nice and large in its own window.
Yeah.
You just have to tell them to click that little blue link that has the title of the assignment. Sometimes they're not going to know that, and they're going to try to work here in this itty bitty box.
Now, Quan asked about collaborating on assignment. That's a good question. I don't think you can change it as a student. I can't change the sharing settings on this one.
No, I don't think it lets you.
Yeah. Now, and I will say, keep in mind, there is another option. So if you did want them to make a Google Doc and 4 of them share it and work on it together, then turn it in, you can still do that. Remember, one of the submission choices was a URL. And as long as they've got it set that way, it will share. They can share a doc with you the normal way. They can share it to you in Google Docs and put that URL in Canvas. It's just not all managed by one particular system.
And just remember that when you go down that whole path of someone having to share a link, you're going to have to remind those kids to change the share settings, because they're just going to click share and grab the link, and they might not change the share settings for you to then grade it, and then you've got to go back and request access to 25 documents. But like when Chris showed you before, that's where in the directions you just put very, very clear directions to the kids how to turn that in. And then the other thing in the comments, someone mentioned about the group assignments earlier. It did say that you could do group assignments, or there was like a button for you to do groups. So you can do that, but you wouldn't really want to use this integration for that.
Yeah.
Because this integration is making a copy for every single individual person. If you want to have them like a group Google Slides or group Google Doc or something, that's where you would want to just grab the raw link, the URL, and change it to copy, or let the kids just create a Google Slide and then turn it in as a link.
The way to think about this is keep in mind both of those Google add-ons are add-ons. They are things that are designed to kind of plug in and work with Canvas. They are not integral parts of Canvas, so they are not going to work with all Canvas features. In fact, you may have seen Student View. When you click Student View, it shows you what your page looks like for a student. So, for example, right now, if I hit Student View, this example assignment is going to disappear because it's not published yet. But if I went into Google Assignments example and tried to look at it in student view, it's not going to work, because this one, it's going to look like it's me. And then I'll see it as the teacher would see it, because that plugin is not designed to work with this student view. Same thing with Google Cloud Assignments. I don't think it works at all. Yeah, see, it doesn't even work at all with this particular integration with this add-on. So those integrations, those add-ons are nice for what they do, but they're not always going to work perfectly with the rest of Canvas. Keep that in mind. Okay. So, it kind of comes down to how you want to do it. Like Heather said, if you get on it quick and really lock your kids in to those procedures of sharing documents with you, and then turning the URL in, you don't have to use either one of those Google plugins. You can just say, turn in a URL, and they'll do it. Just be prepared to teach them those procedures early. Somebody asked, where do you go to grade assignments? That's a good question, because that's what I'm going to show you now. So there's a thing called the Speed Grader, and it works with Google Drive Cloud Assignments and any other assignments that you do. So I'm going to flip really quickly over to my other course, because that shows you the easiest way to get there. So this is a real course. I hope none of you are taking it. I'm not going to show anybody's grades, hopefully. But when you have a real course, on your homepage over here, you have a to-do list. And that basically says, hey, here's stuff that you've not graded yet. So when you click on that, it takes you to the Speed Grader. Okay. And the way the Speed Grader works is it shows you the student right here. You can comment on it right here, and you can grade it right. And when you're done with that student, you hit the button and you move on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And you keep grading it and moving on. So Speed Grader works really fast. And when you're done grading one assignment, you can go up here and hit this button. And that takes you to your gradebook. Okay. And you can go from your gradebook to another assignment. So Jessica's organizing with YouTube. I can click here, and then there's this little bump out button, and I can go back into the Speed Grader, and I can start grading the next assignment. Now you'll notice this only grades the text box things, but if I had them submit a URL here, so it's giving me this URL, and if I want to, I can open it in a new tab, look at it, say, yep, it's done, and I can go back and hit the grade. Go ahead and grade this while I'm here, and move on. Okay. Now, if you were doing one of those Google assignments, sorry, Google Drive cloud assignments. Hang on, I gotta back out to the right place here. So back in my Sandbox class. So Google Drive cloud assignments. So let's say I look at my gradebook, and Google Drive cloud assignments is over here, and I wanted to grade these. I click on here, I open the speed grader, and this is what a Google Drive cloud assignment looks like in here. And it looks very similar if you have like a Microsoft Word document too. Not only do I have the same grading tools, but I can go in here and I can highlight, I can add comments, I can strike through. So if she answered it wrong, I'd strike through it and say, that's wrong. Okay, and I know I misspelled that. So I've got all those controls there to mark up a document and give the students feedback before I return it to them. And I can also put more comments here. The speed grader is a really powerful tool that lets you do a good bit of interesting grading stuff. Plus, it has the benefit of immediately returning it to them as soon as you give them a grade so that they know what they've done. Okay. So questions on the speed grader. No questions. Good, because we're nearly out of time. So listen, so here's what I want to do. I'll take more questions if anybody has them, but Heather's going to go ahead and post in the link to the form. This is where you have to go to fill out the form to get your credit for this. And please keep in mind, I know we went through stuff fast. You've got the link to the presentation, and you've got also the ability to get in touch with you if you've got more questions. So I see a question. We'll be able to grade quickly, like with Flubberoo or with Google Forms. Yes, absolutely. So there are a couple potential options there. Canvas has an entire quiz function. Okay, you can make quizzes in Canvas just like your Flubberoo or Google Forms quizzes. That work, and it works really well. Right now,
we do have details on that on the FAQ doc.
Yes.
And Catherine's making a module completely dedicated to quizzes that will get added to your Intro to Canvas course, hopefully in the next couple weeks.
Yes. Now, here's the thing. If you're like, oh my God, that's a whole other thing for me to learn, I feel you. Okay. So the good news is, if you just want to use Flubberoo or Google quizzes, you can. Because remember, one of the things that you can put in here is a hyperlink, right? So imagine if I set this instead of a hurricane hyperlink, this is just a link to my Google Forms quiz. That will work perfectly. It just sends them right out, opens the quiz up, has them sign in, and then they answer the questions. Right? So they're already signed in since they're on a Chromebook. So they answer the quiz, and then you'll have to grade the quiz the way you normally grade it. Okay? Because you can put things, this gradebook, you can also manually put grades in right here. Okay? Stanley, that is an awesome question. Will PowerSchool communicate with eCats to upload progress monitoring assignments? I have no idea on that one. Heather, what's your thought?
My initial thought is probably not, unless there's integration for that. But who who is your contact person for ECAT? Because that's a good question. We need to talk to them,
Yeah.
but I don't know who that person is that I would talk to. Do you happen to know, Stanley?
Yes. So who normally does? If you have to go-to person to district for ECATs, who is it? Okay.
Okay.
We'll look. I would expect. We'll get in touch with them and see.
Would you mind, Stanley, writing that on your sign-in form as your question? Because then that will it'll put it down on record for us, and then it'll give us that reference to go look for.
That way we can follow it up. That's a good question. I had not thought about that.
That's a perfect question. We have not thought about that.
If it does, that's great. If it doesn't, you should be able to just put the assignment in and then go down. Like if y'all can see my screen, am I sharing? No, I stopped sharing, didn't I? In the Gradebook, if you just put no submission in the assignment, you can just go down and just see, and just enter manually. And then that would sync with PowerSchool. That's for sure. So, interesting question. So like Heather said, if you've got more questions, feel free to hang out and ask them. If not, you can go ahead and click out once you've done the form. Thank you all for coming. Yeah, I asked some really good questions today. I appreciate it.